for my.
Good for you, Pat. It's good for you.
All right, Pat, just introduce yourself.
I'm facing the camera then.
Be yourself.
Anyway,
Do your-
No, so
accountants, yeah.
for the camera, I'll introduce myself. I'm Pat D'Ambrosio. We're Pasquale D'Ambrosio. I go by Pat in America. I'm Italian. So I'm a mortgage lender with M&T Bank. I'm sure you've seen them everywhere up there. There's a lot of them up north, green and white signs, M&T. You probably passed one at a traffic light. You might have seen one. There's a lot up north. I actually live in South Jersey. I'm in the South Jersey Philly market. I do loans everywhere though, just FYI, I'm licensed in every state, PA, New York, Connecticut, Wisconsin. I'll do a loan anywhere. So that's good geographically. Yeah, I basically do a lot of physical presence downtown, which is where me and Evelyn met, open house in Woolwich.
Oh, the Regals.
Yep, Regal's Court.
Regals, what, Sweetboro.
Yep, so, no, all right, so let me get this on recording.
Yeah.
For all you North Jerseyites, it's pronounced Gloucester County, not Gloucester.
Thank you.
Because every time she would say Gloucester, I'm like, who is this? Gloucester County. Gloucester is the pronunciation.
Gloucester. Okay.
So, yeah, so basically I printed out a cheat sheet, essentially. If everyone, you can kind of look at it as I go over stuff. You know, it's good to kind of have a visual and see what's what. You know, it's kind of wordy, but this is for you to read, you know, on your own time when you're bored at the house. But basically, there's 3 main bullets. We're going to flip it around to the page that does not have my photo. Yep. So that's the first page. So basically, we do a program, the portfolio modification. Just think of modification. That's a program that I think has a lot of value for agents, and I'm going to kind of explain why. So basically, and most banks don't do this. Most lenders and most independent brokers do not do this. So what it is because we portfolio our loans, we don't sell them. Another advantage of having, if a buyer is concerned about using a bank, portfolioing the loan gives you more options, more products, more things we can play with. So basically, the modification, as Alan, you know, I beat him to death with it, is if a buyer buys today in March, April 24, Jack and Jill just bought a house at 6.5%. Now that rates, it's not bad, but let's say rates drop next year to 5. They drop over a point. They don't have to refinance. Refinances could be over $10,000, and then you have to start the loan over. All those fees. You can just do a modification with my bank. It's a $250 admin fee instead of paying the entire $15,000 or $12,000 to refi. And your loan stays on its life. It doesn't restart. You could be on year 7. Rates, something happens in the world, the rates plummet. You just pick up the phone, you call, you get it modified, you pay the $250 fee, which is nothing. The following month, you have a lower rate. Your monthly payment is reflected on it.
Is this already going up?
Oh, I can push it. I can do all my loans. If they're over a 700 credit, that's the only other new ones. You got to be over a 700 score.
So if somebody's, give me an example of what the you've done recently, how much is it drop, what percentage?
So it's just, well, right now, there's really no one modifying because rates haven't dropped. So the advantage is in a year from now, if rates do drop,
What's the typical rate for credit?
Oh, well, so rates in general right now are anywhere between 6 and like 7%.
So let's say you have a rate of 7%.
Correct.
Next year, for some reason, it drops to 6. I pay $250 and my monthly mortgage now says 6% and I'm paying a lower fee.
Yep, and your monthly, and then you can do it as many times as you want once a year. So in theory, it doesn't even need to be the whole point. As we were saying, our jumbo loans, which is 760K or higher, loan amount now. So the property's got to be like 900, we're putting 150 down. So if the loan amount's over 760, it can be our jumbo. So jumbo is eligible for the modification. So on a loan that size, 1/8%, you could lower your payment by like $400.
So you're saying, listen, we're making a ton of money in interest. We can afford to go down.
Well,
So this is only for the jumbo, right?
Well, so two product, great question. The jumbo and the biweekly. The biweekly, because not everyone leaves.
Explain what the biweekly is.
Okay, so
And this is exclusive to your bank, biweekly, or is that a
well, you could do
standardized?
a lot of lenders don't do biweeklies. A lot of them do. It just depends on who you do. Most private mortgage companies, like small brokers, they don't do biweeklies. They have basic products. But you can do it bi-weekly, it's a national thing, we happen to do it, but not every lender does.
And it needs what?
So you're paying a little less than half the monthly note every 14 days. A little less than half, because remember, 14 times 2 is 28, some months have 31 days. So that's why it ends up to a little less than half.
There's 13 days, there's 26 payments.
Correct. Well, you're gonna have.
Opposed to 24.
Correct. So, and what this does is, actually, since we're on it, pull that up, the rate lock agreement.
Yeah.
We'll get to Paul's estimate later. I'm using Paul's estimate as the
It's
example.
good. I hate looking at that name.
Yeah, the screenshot I sent you.
Not this one.
Yeah, the screenshot, which is probably behind it. Yeah, if you could maybe make it bigger.
Yeah.
So this is a deal that I'm working on right now. I just transitioned a loan to underwriting. It's in Elkton, Maryland. So this is one of my Maryland deals. So if you look where it says loan term, 289 months. If you divide that up by 12, that's 24 years. So biweeklies naturally are paid off in 6 to 7 years a little quicker than a 30-year. So they're not paying, that's 61 months, or 71 months they're not paying. Because 360 is 30 years. So that's 71 months of not making a mortgage payment. It's a lot of money they save. All because they paid it twice a month. So the biweekly also, that's why I push a lot of biweeklies. Not only are they only paying into it 24 years, they are allowed to do the modification. And that requires a 700 score. The jumbo does not.
700.
The jumbo is just, the only requirement is the loan amount has to be set. You could have a 640 and do a jumbo. But if it's under 750, 760 loan amount, which is, a lot of loans are like 400, I advise if their score's high, I throw them right into the bi-weekly. Because now in a year, when rates plummet, they don't have to say, I should have waited. I don't have to, I don't want to refi. Refis are costly.
Yeah.
So that's a good program, and importantly for you guys, and as I wrote, as you're reading this as you, it says, why do I care? How does this benefit me? As a realtor, why do you care? Because why would it benefit you? You have a husband and wife, they're in their 40s, or they're a client, they're looking to buy. What's one of the most common things they're all saying right now? The rates don't beat you to death about the rate. They'll beat you to a pulp about how bad and high the rates are. Well, you presented them that this is an option that they can possibly, that they're really not locked in. Now they might say, you know what? Honey, the husband and wife supposed to each other, let's do it. Now you just got someone that was on the fence to the buyer's box instead of the we're gonna wait 3 years box. So that's why it benefits an agent. That can kind of tip someone over the fence into the land of we're gonna make the decision now about it. And that's why I think it's beneficial to agents and myself. So, I mean, you're really not locked in.
So is that still considered a convention?
Oh, they're both conventional. That's a great question.
So if we do a contract for that,
Conventional loan.
you still put in that conventional loan, but usually it defaults to 30-year loan
Right.
on a conventional. So would you put down a 289-month loan?
Yeah, you could put that in the contract. I mean, I didn't send you the contract. So most contracts,
You want to write a standard contract?
well, the contract for this deal
Oh.
has exactly, it just says conventional, and it can say 30-year or it can say 23-year. It doesn't matter. Because right. The moral of the story, for all intents and purposes, from the seller's vantage point, they're looking at a conventional product in their offer, which is what we want. You want your buyer, if you can get the buyer to come in conventional.
So they still got to put down 20%.
No, you can put down 5, 4,
5% and get
6%.
conventional?
Conventional?
You could go down as low as 4%. 96% LTV. They're actually putting down
90%?
96% LTV. So, should have sent you that one, but this contract, you'll see I think they were putting 445, they put 20,000 down. What's that LTV? Like 92%. So yeah, you can come in, you don't need 20% convention. Most people don't have 20% down, but you can still go convention if your score is good enough. So 420 divided by 94% LTV, they put 25,000 down.
Oh, stop.
So you can put 6% down and go convention.
Wow.
I
That's
didn't-
heavy.
I see, I didn't know.
They'll
A
have
lot of North
PMI.
Jersey, a lot of North Jersey lenders won't let anybody do a 5% convention.
Well, I mean, if that's all they have,
Because then they think they got no skin in the game. They think that the loan's gonna default and it's gonna come back to the bank because of foreclosure.
well, I mean, if their credit's good and their income's strong and their DTI's low, that's all
Yeah.
part of the whole picture.
Yeah.
I mean, they put 6%.
They.
This young couple put 6% down, and the seller gladly gave them the house.
Wow.
This is a deal I'm doing right now. This
I
is-
know, Jersey people are nice, I know.
Well, this is in Maryland.
Jersey,
This is in Maryland.
even nicer.
Yeah.
I was
So-
saying now the other day, I said, "Who around here is working?"
So
Nice.
conventional doesn't have to be 20%, 10%. If all you have to put down is 6% plus funds for closing costs, I mean, 6% can be conventional.
Some
Those
people don't
PMI
even want to accept,
PMI will come off once they hit the 20% equity.
Once, yeah.
but a lot of people won't even accept FHA. When they see FHA in North Jersey, they're like,
Well, now,
"Have you
right,
got
so,
cash?"
so, no, I mean, FHA, listen,
Or VA.
if all someone's qualified for is FHA, I mean, that's
But.
all they can shop
But
with.
the agents in this area, like in Bergen and North Jersey, whatever, they see FHA, they see 5% conventional, they go next. So quick,
So then-
VA loan, next, oh, I'm sorry, we can't accept a VA loan, so that's discrimination, no, we can't, they can find every workaround to so that they're not discriminating, but they are discriminating,
But they do.
they're discriminating.
So that's what we want. We want strong, when you guys are out, getting leads, you want strong buyers. You want people that have
Yeah.
cash, the parent has a trust fund for them, whatever. Their parents had build their credit up since they were kids, they're young professionals, older professionals. So they're gonna have good credit scores because they make enough to not carry high credit card debt. Those are gonna have the path of most least resistance from an underwriting perspective.
Right,
And they're gonna be the strongest offers. That's
Sure.
all I want is 800 FICO and better, and they put 20% down, liquid cash, no problems. That's all we want.
I better not bring you my 670 today, then I better give it to somebody.
I mean, we'll take anything,
VA.
no, we'll take anything, but those are, in this market,
Yeah.
strongest offers.
Yeah,
So biweekly and jumbo, they're both conventional. So they're gonna, for purposes of the offer looking attractive, it's conventional. You can go anywhere from 4 to 80% to 90% down, doesn't matter. So biweekly and jumbo, to summarize that, they're the two products that can get someone to lower their rate, but down the road, if rates do drop. Hopefully rates drop. Now that buyer is gonna get, whenever I bring this up, 10 out of 10 of my leads will say, "Wow, I never heard of that." So I guarantee you, when you talk to your leads, none of them have heard of it either. And now who looks like the hero? You guys, because you thought of it. You threw them the life vest that no one else thought of. So,
you're giving them an alternative to something
it's
they're not
all about,
typically
it's all
accustomed to
about solving the
That's what
problem.
you're.
Right, because we portfolio them. So let me actually, speaking of which, let's flip the sheet. All right, let's go right above my handsome face. We're near the very bottom. See where it says banks versus independent mortgage broker myths? See those bullets? So I'm gonna kind of just go over them, because a lot of buyers will say, you work for a bank, I don't want, a lot of realtors will tell their buyers not to go with Joe Lender because he works for a bank. Couldn't be more false. So the myth is that banks offer worse rates and they're more conservative. Not necessarily true. I mean, the rates are the rates, the Fed has controls that. And some banks actually are more competitive than brokers, depending on their pricing. So it's not that banks are gonna give the worst terms, because that's a myth. So, that's just people that always only work with independent brokers. The second myth is bank lenders only work daytime hours Monday to Friday. I mean, what time is it right now?
Yeah.
It's 7 o'clock and I'm still working.
He's been here since.
So if that's not evidence that I work 9 days a week,
I like that.
I work 9 days a week, 28 hours a day.
He works real estate hours, you work bankers hours.
Yeah.
So the truth is 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, the great ones are available. So remember, it's not the bank that you're working with, you're working with the bank. I just happen to work for the bank. See the difference?
Oh, I see.
And then the myth is banks sell their loans. I mean, this is how stupid, excuse my language, some people are. Certain individual leads that you may have known that may or may not have car dealerships have said to me, "Oh, well, you work for a bank, you guys sell your loans." I said, "No, actually, it's actually the opposite. Independent brokers, the day you move in, you get a letter in the mail saying your loan does. Banks
Yeah.
portfolio them, which allows you to do a jumbo. to do a modification, to do a bi-week, to do an adjusted rate. So
Do you have to have an account with
another
them?
great question.
Or M&T Bank, say.
You do not, let's flip it back to the non-photo side. The bottom tier says Waste, Pat and M&T Bank at the buyer better rate. Remember, some people, all they care about is the rate. I have an answer to that. You open up an M&T checking or savings, the buyer, they're automatically getting an 1/8% discount. So whatever the rate is, lower it by an 1/8%, and now that's their rate, their starting point's right there. They get a free 1/8% just by opening an account at M&T. And up here in North Jersey, I don't know the map too well, but every 6 miles, there's an M&T Bank. I know for a fact there's a lot of M&T banks. You can drive any branch up, open an account, and
Get that
boom,
8%.
8% off the bat, 8%, not including any other discounts like you get. And then, let me see here. Okay, the jumbos actually, a lot of banks jumbo loans, they go second home pricing, which as you know is like high risk, so they're high rates. Our jumbos, we get primary residence pricing, which is from an underwriting from a risk perspective, primary residence, way less risk than a second home or a rent. So you're gonna get the best pricing with our jumbos, which we actually specialize in. Like if there's one thing my bank has a niche in, it's jumbos. So Monmouth County, Bergen County, I'd say 7 out of 10 properties are gonna fall in jumbos just by the sale prices.
What does the jumbo start at?
760 or higher.
760.
So
For the loan, not for the purchase price.
Right, so the purchase,
For the
the
loan.
purchase is, I mean, you 850, you put 90,000 down, you're at 760 loan amount, price is 850. And boom, that person's in jumbo land. They're gonna be able to get a better rate, and they're gonna be able to do the modification, which matters even more when the loan's that high. An 1/8% could be $400 a month less than you gotta pay. We ran the math on a property in Alpine. I did a 1/4%, not even half. It was $1,000 a month less.
$6 million.
Just 1/4% better, you're paying $250 once to lower your payment $1,000
Yeah,
a
I
month.
think that's pretty cool.
That's a feature that
That's
someone that has
fine,
money,
for sure.
or they can refinance on a loan that size. I mean, that's 30 grand. 30 grand, 250. I mean, we're not the best at math. It looks
Yeah.
better now. So you get the idea. And then let me see. Let's look at the swing loan. Not everyone does a swing loan, but
What is this?
But a swing loan was a good advice for the client we had now.
the Paul and
Yeah.
Okay, so
Why
anyone.
would somebody do a swing loan? What is a swing loan, and give us an example?
So swing loan is Jack and Jill own a house. They have some equity in it. They want to move. They want to buy that house right over there. They have tons of equity in their house, but they don't really have the money for the down payment. Well, we got to sell our house first. We got to put a contingent offer on this. Well, not necessarily. They have enough income to support a HELOC. They can pull equity out of this house, use it as for the funds for the down payment on this one. And now it's non-contingent. So now you just turn someone that thinks they have to go contingent into a non-contingent offer, and they don't have to use any of their own money.
It's coming from a HELOC. What, a HELOC?
Explain it, HELOC.
Okay, I always forget. I'm always used to talking to my.
Yeah.
All right, so a HELOC is a home equity line of credit, which is, we're all somewhat familiar with. You have equity in your house, you can use that as real, you can convert that to real cash. That's green, that's spends.
What kind of rate is on a HELOC compared to, say you have a loan at 4.5% from years ago?
Well,
Now
the
you're
HELOC,
taking a HELOC.
the HELOC doesn't affect your mortgage payment. If you have a 2.5% mortgage payment and you owe maybe 100,000 and the house is worth 400, you can pull, let's use even numbers, 300,000 in the HELOC, but it's not touching that 100,000 mortgage.
Right, so, but are the rates right here?
The rates are not the best, but that doesn't matter. Rates are, let's say they're 11 or 12%, which is what they are. And again, that's the Fed. Doesn't matter because once this house sells in 60 days, because Eve's gonna list it, once it sells, when you're in this house over here, you just pay that HELOC back. That rate could be 50%, who cares?
Right, so you're only taking it maybe for a couple of months.
Maybe. The idea is that the house right now is gonna sell. pretty much right around the time you buy that house. This just offers a solution to where you don't have to rely on this selling to get into that. So swing loans are, again, not every lender offers them. It's not every lender can do a HELOC and a mortgage.
I don't mean to interrupt again, but so you're calling it swing, really it's just getting a HELOC on what you have. So you have to have the equity in your house to get it. It's not just another loan that is helping you swing it.
Right.
So it's really a HELOC.
Right,
Is
right.
what
It's,
you
it's
offer.
well, so the actual product is called the M&T Easy Swing. But it's, these are just, adjective, terms that can be
Okay.
interchangeable. Essentially, yes, it's a HELOC that you're pulling money out and doing a home equity loan. And now that pile of money is now your down payment over time. But then, and then once this house you were in sells, you pay that off. Because it doesn't matter what that rate is, it'll sell. In this market, the house you're in will sell, even if it takes 1 or 2 months to sell, as you buy your second one. You're not making any payments. And it's interest only for the first 10 years anyway. So your payment on that HELOC is very low if you have to make a payment.
Right, so it might be only $1,000 or so, because you're not really paying primary or whatever.
Principal and interest.
Principal and
First 10
interest.
years is just interest. Like I've seen HELOCs for 50 grand as low as like $205 a month.
Right.
Because it's just whatever, that's just how.
So you're not bringing down the HELOC at all.
No, you're just making the minimum payments that's
Right.
needed. But year 11, well, first of all, just in life, you don't want to have a HELOC. By year 11, you don't want to still have a HELOC.
Yeah.
You don't still want to be making payments on a HELOC in 11 years.
Yeah.
I don't care who you get HELOCs, should be temporary things.
And they are adjusted to, according to
Yep.
the rate.
Yep, they're gonna be at the mercy of the market.
Right.
But the bigger point and picture is that doesn't matter, because this house that they're in, that they have to sell, it's gonna sell. Even if it takes 4 months to sell, it's gonna sell.
But you gotta be careful, because I remember many years ago, we did get a HELOC. And it was quite high. We needed money to buy another house.
Okay.
But then we kept it because we needed to have the cash.
Okay.
And then the rates were a decent price when we first started. All of a sudden now the rates are at 10% or whatever. And
And how long did you guys keep that open?
because now we had to pay it off.
Right, so you kept it, so you didn't pay the whole thing off?
We didn't pay it because we didn't sell property A.
Right,
We
right.
kept property
See
A.
that-
We took the HELOC to help buy property B.
Right, but
So we never paid off A.
because you never sold it.
Right, we never sold A.
In this scenario, it's where the buyer or the client they want to sell the house they're in and buy it.
And that's why the term, in a way, swing is good, because
Because
then
this
that client is thinking, oh, I'm gonna do it and swing into the new place.
Yep.
As opposed to thinking, oh, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, if their end goal is to sell this house. This swing technique, so to speak, is just to eliminate the contingent offer and to eliminate any timing issues. Because if they're like, well, if we sell our house, but that house will not be available, like, we gotta wait to sell this. Now that eliminates that whole timeline of if and when and but. So, and now they have to qualify for it. They have to be able to cover that mortgage payment, the mortgage that they're in, if there is one, and the HELOC. So it's 3 payments they gotta qualify for. If they make a lot of money, it doesn't matter. They're gonna qualify.
So let's say I've got, I've got this one thing I'm gonna be doing, selling my time. Using the other house, it's pretty complicated, a couple of things. My HELOC I can get like a couple of days before, but I can do it.
Great question.
Get it on the head or through the staff.
We would do the HELOC on the current house you own. We would get that HELOC active. Those are way less involved than a mortgage app. You can have the funds you could be at a branch getting the funds sent to your account within less than 14 days, depending on how quick you get, they get to your file.
I may have to do this for my other client.
Yeah, so if their house, let's use yours as an example, right? Their house is in such and such town, New Jersey. They have decent equity in it.
They have a decent equity on it, but certainly, how do we get to the other house? Well, we sell your house a week later, you close a week later, you've got a week to move, essentially.
Right, see, and that, the timeline, a prime example, the timing of event A, B, and C is all, it's not, it might not work. Nothing really works perfectly. So by taking the equity out, they just now eliminated having to do any type of schedule on this house. When this house sells, great. And the HELOC, they could, if they applied for a HELOC today, by the end of the week, they'll be able to schedule to go to a branch to get the money. Now they have a lot of cash, now that's their down payment. And this house can sell in May, June, or July, who cares? And now they just solved a problem that they had. They got, again, whoever the clients are, they do it to qualify. So,
Can we go over the good leads versus bad leads again, a little, so that this is applicable to the agents?
oh yeah, this is good,
So
great
let's
segment.
just kind of go over some of these points.
So I drafted this up as a little fancy chart. It just based on my experience of just human behavior and people that I've met. And because I talk to different types of leads of all personalities all over the country. So basically, there's a couple of kind of signs, and these aren't 100%, you never want to judge a book. But there are signs that correlate to what's going to be likely a good lead and likely a bad one. So for example, they give clear and concise answers. If you ask them basic qualifying questions, again, I know you guys aren't the lenders, but sometimes an agent will say, oh, roughly what do you guys make? Do you know what your score is? A basic, very informal question. You know, they're gonna do one of two things. They're just gonna give you a number, oh, it's around 750. I made 82,000 last year. Or they're gonna be in this box and they're gonna give you like a long story that doesn't have any numbers in it. From what I've learned in my experience, when you ask a basic question that all it requires is a number as an answer, and they don't give a number in their answer, but it's a bunch of sentences about their mom and the neighbor and their divorced husband, usually, usually that's a sign that they're either hiding something or they just don't make what they need to make. And that's, that's not 100%, but that's just a good little trick to think of when you're talking. So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then another one is the credit pull. If they're very hesitant on getting their credit pull, that's another sign they might not be that serious of a lead that really wants to buy something soon. So they might be a lead later, or they might just be somewhat curious, but in this market, you got to be ready to pull a trigger ASAP. So if they're really not very comfortable pulling their credit, or they keep mentioning they don't want to do a hard pull, again, in my experience, I've learned that again, it's not 100%. That's usually a sign that they're not as serious. Where someone says, "All right, Pat, I'll fill out your app," and I'll hard pull. That's fine. It's just logic.
Speaking about the hard pull, once you do one hard pull, that is not great. Run the credit. How many loans could you shop during how much time period?
It's a great question. Usually they don't penalize you for 30 to 60 days. I got each bureau, there's 3 credit bureaus, they're all different. But in short, the policies, the bureaus don't want to penalize someone for rate shopping. If Bank A pulls your credit and then 3 days later, Bank B pulls your credit, as long as they're just mortgage inquiries, bureaus are going to know, okay, they're not pulling a credit for a mortgage, furniture outlet, car loan. That's not good. That's going to show too much inconsistencies. But if it's mortgage inquiry, mortgage, all 3, 4 different banks within a month, it's really not going to penalize you like people think it does. Oh, Pat, I don't want my credit pulled. Well, your score's not going to drop 100 points. It's going to drop 2 points. Maybe. And the higher your score, if your score is 780, if you're well over 700, a hard pull on your credit isn't going to put a dent in it.
How much
And then
does a hard pull?
it recovers after what, 30 days?
30-day cycle, keep paying your credit cards. 30-day cycle.
I know, a lot of people have that misconception, but I always say, if you're shopping for a house right now, don't worry about it. Get different opinions, let them pull your credit.
And each pull is, again, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't, a couple points here and there. That's really all it is. It's not, you're not gonna be 750 and then tomorrow, because you get filled out my app, you're at 620. Never happened.
As
So.
long as you're looking for a house, it's the same
It's
thing.
same,
The pressure
Right,
company
that- that-
see.
The concept is why penalize someone? Because you can't expect someone to just go, I mean, some people meet me and they don't talk to anyone else.
No.
That's, but if they meet Joe or Steve, they're gonna end up finding me anyway. I have to pull their credit even though Joe or Steve. So, grants, okay, we have really good grant programs. But the demographic, I'm gonna be real, the demographic we wanna really reach out to, the higher sales prices, they're not gonna be in the grant world. They're gonna make way too much, and the properties they're gonna find are not gonna be on lower moderate income tracks. So grants are great, and that's a different conversation for maybe, another day if we wanna discuss certain areas, but if we wanna catch the whales, grants are irrelevant. There's no need to even discuss grants with Alpine and certain zip codes. So if a lead is on the phone with you and they're asking a lot about grants, again, that's usually a correlation to they don't pay any money. None, because they're misled by social media that, well, I'm a first-time home buyer. Okay?
Yes.
How many times you hear a potential lead say first-time home buyer? Do they shove that down your throat? They tell you 10 different ways in 10 different languages. Let's go to the next box. See, look at the first-time home buyer reality. See that? You get people say they're first-time home buyers, right? All the time. The reality is you still need to have some money saved. Oh, well, I'm a first-time home buyer. Okay, that doesn't mean you can show up to a house and have no money. You still got to have a certain percentage of the house saved in assets. You know, you can't put zero down unless it's VA or USDA. So like people think that being a first-time home buyer means you can put zero down. Wrong. Being a first-time home buyer means there's zero closing costs. Wrong. You still need money. All a first-time home buyer thing is you're eligible for certain county grants. Burlington County does 25K, Camden's like 10K, Ocean's 15. And first time just is defined by you haven't bought a house in the last 3 years.
Oh, in 3 years?
3 years, I
So
didn't know
3
that.
years later, you could be considered. a first-time-
Unless you're, every county's grant, every state grant, they do have their criteria. Most of them are 3 years. Most
So
of them
we
is,
want to buy another house, we bought our house 7 years ago. We want to buy another house, we're eligible for first.
but now you have to have, you have to have you can't have an existing mortgage. So basically, the idea is you bought a house and then you sold it 3 years or more in time goes by, you're now a first-time home buyer.
Oh, okay.
What about if you bought it, paid off the mortgage, and now it's 3 years?
Well, here's the problem. Not only, that's one of the criterions, it counts as first time 3 years, but you also have to meet the income requirement. Most counties are gonna be 120 or under. If you make a lot of money, you're not gonna get the grant. You could be a negative first-time home buyer. You could be a first-time home buyer. You still, all these grants as a first-time buyer, all it means is if you make under X, you haven't bought a house in 3 years, you know, you can qualify for 10 or 15 or 20K grant, depending on the program.
Is that the same as closing costs, or that's a different animal?
It can go towards it, like for Burlington Counties, where I live. You guys heard of Burlington County?
Yeah.
Does that ring a bell? Up here, it's like, I'm like in Egypt.
That's a near pillar real estate, right?
Where?
Near pillar company?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
You didn't know that.
Where is it? Yeah, I'm down Alabama, so. So Burlington County does 25K, it's Burlington County HUD, you know HUD. They're doing a program, my bank's partnered with it. I actually met with the president of the HUD.
Do they have a good REO?
I could look into
We
it.
need to talk.
So 25K towards down payment, closing costs, and or refi. So if it's a $180,000 condo, you put 12 of it, 12K down payment, 7,500 in closing costs, and then another 4,500 in discount points. All that the entire 25K could cover everything, in theory.
Yeah,
But again, you still have to have some money saved, you have to make what kills a lot of people is they make too much. They're very strict on income tracks. Little different demographic, like again, if we're pushing this area, most people are gonna make too much to. So again, my point is grants are great for certain areas, but they're not, if we really wanna grab the higher tier echelon, grants are gonna be irrelevant.
Yeah.
But we do offer them, and it's all income based, and again, first time buyers, all you can really tell, like, down in Point Pleasant in Ocean County, I have a young couple, they're like 27, 28. They both they make very good money, first time buyers, because they're 28. They're not there's no first time home buyer in the world for them. They make 250K. They're not even close. You need to make less than half.
And that shouldn't really matter to them.
Right, exactly. So the point I'm making, the connection I'm making, Alex, is exactly that. If they're really pushing questions about a grant, they got two nickels barely to rub together. So,
Okay, more about good versus bad leads.
Well, yeah, it's,
okay, so we're second to last one, is responsive to emails, text, calls. I mean, it's really that simple. If someone takes, it's like dating. If someone takes 3 days to respond, they're not interested. Everybody's phone's in their hand. If somebody takes, you know what I'm saying? If somebody's really searching the market and wants to buy a house and wants to, not lose out on something, they're gonna answer you in a timely fashion. So that's another telltale sign of, okay, this person's giving me good energy about this.
Yeah, I'm gonna share a story about
Go ahead.
that. I purchased a house in Paris in 2018, right?
You put an offer on it?
I purchased,
Oh,
I closed the deal, everything,
Okay.
and then my neighbor sent me a letter. Like, if anybody or your friends or somebody wants to purchase a house, let me know. And my friend was looking.
So they were looking to sell their house and they asked the
Yeah,
neighbors.
they asked me because I just purchased, right?
Isn't that
So
interesting?
she's very nice and
Yeah.
good lady, and she sent me a letter like,
Yeah.
somebody wants to sell it. So my friend was looking for a house, that kind of house, right?
Yeah.
Investment property.
Yeah,
And I gave him a letter.
yeah.
I said, here, you are looking for, this is perfect for you, it's
Yeah.
right next to it. And he was ready. He took 3 days to answer the call, and the house was sold.
she was sold to somebody else.
Yeah. So
Of
the
course.
excellent.
That was a
offer.
hot lead.
A deal waits for no.
Yeah, you weren't a real estate agent then, you could have taken.
No.
So Alexa,
I was just back inside.
a deal waits for no one. And so.
Yeah, no waits for nobody.
And he still did it.
Yeah, so sometimes you have, time is of the essence in this market. And then the last bullet, and this is something that you guys might see more than I do. Where someone seems realistic about their price range, or they want to focus on things that are way beyond their budget. If someone focuses on, really, want to come to you, and the first thing you say, well, what kind of house you looking for? And if they're harping on properties that are just, gonna be way above what they can realistically afford, they're probably not serious. So, I mean, that's kind of how I look at it.
Oh, money's no object. I like
That's
that
what
one.
this woman
I like
said,
that
money's no object,
Preacher,
but she wants her
Yeah,
very first comment, hey, well, money's no object.
What's his name? I can't.
David Benson.
Like, is that an oxymoron? What is that? Like, I was going, oh, really? Okay, I got it. Yeah, like, oh, am I stupid or am I supposed to just pretend I'm stupid? Like, what?
I want to go over this. This is an important
Yes.
nuance. If you go to the next little section, the ideal borrower. So self-employed versus W-2. You're a little newer. This is important. I'll explain it to you and everyone. So they might know already, but if you're self-employed, like you own John's Landscape, you made $400,000 last year. You wrote off 80% of that. You only made actually 60 on 80. So I can only use 60,000 to qualify to buy a house, not for. But Pat, I made 400,000. I'm killing it in landscaping. I'm killing it. I'm doing everyone's lawn. Okay, well, your accountant deducted and wrote off 90% of your income. So on paper, you only made 50. So I can get you into that condo over there, that house with pool and 3-car garage. You shouldn't have wrote off you should have had your accountant not write off anything. So self-employed borrowers, they're great to work with and they're doable, but more often than not, they don't have the advisement to know to file clean everything the 2 years prior to where you're thinking about buying. It's hard. We don't know what we're doing 2 years from now, but a lot of self-employed borrowers, I mean, I say 9 out of 10, I can bet on it when I see their tax returns. I mean, they did great, you got John's lawn care. He made $350 last year, but I can only use 45,000.
That's because you wrote everything off.
Evelyn and I have been independent from a music company, that we used to write everything off.
Which is great. You don't want to pay taxes.
We didn't pay taxes.
We could never qualify for.
Right, that's great. So every other year other than the 2 you're gonna lead up to buying a home, write everything off. bite the bullet for a year or two if you're self-employed.
That's exactly what we did.
So you can buy this and then jump right back down into your tax-free land.
That's
So
exactly
that's what I
we
try to
did.
tell people.
We,
But Pat, I made, oh my God, I'm killing it, my weed business. I just made 600,000. Well, on paper you made 40. So now they gotta wait 2 more years of now 25 and 26 tax returns. You better include everything.
yeah.
You're gonna get slaughtered in taxes, but that's the price you pay for being self-employed. So
My county used to say, if you have a lot of taxes to pay, that means you made a lot.
you did something right. So.
You know, so.
So self-employed borrowers, if now if it's a marriage situation, spouse A is self-employed, spouse B is W-2, spouse B might be making a good amount of money, doesn't matter. But if it's just John Doe, he's solo, or if they're both self-employed, it's, we gotta, again, and you guys can do maybe some vetting, because a lot of people go to a realtor before they talk to me. They don't even know I exist. They think I'm a realtor. I'm not. They think the realtor's their lender. They think the realtor does everything. So when they come to you first, if they're self-employed, that's another kind of good question to ask and kind of filter and see what they say. And if their accountant was too good, they didn't make jack last year. They can't afford what they really, it's a shame because they get a lot of money, but they can't qualify. So W-2 though, we're using all the income, gross. We like the word gross, because we can use all of it. So W-2, their gross income was 150, but they took 30% out in taxes. We're using 150. So we like W-2 employees because I look at it, not the right.
But what about people here? They're all independent.
Okay, if it's same idea, you're 1099.
Yeah.
Right. So when it's January, you talk to your accountant, you want to figure out what's the way I can structure this. If you know you really want to buy a house, you're gonna have to bite the bullet and get slaughtered on taxes that year. But you got to buy that house you like because you claimed 300, not 40.
Yeah, it's true. Very true.
So if you want to just reiterate, what do you think?
No,
Good
I
advice?
agree, and Evelyn and I got caught in that too, because we were independent, we ran a music company.
And I'm sure you did very well.
We did very well, but the first thing they said, well, you made no money. Well,
We did, but we didn't. So
So then.
make sure you show it.
The last couple of years, we did exactly that. I said, we don't want to take a loss this year. We want to not take as much expenses off.
Deductions, write-offs, and expenses.
Right, so that we could show that, well, we made a little bit more now, we're being killed in taxes, but
at least we're qualified for whatever.
we're pivoting ourselves for another purchase. So.
Yeah, and there's certain add-ons, like there's certain line items, and I hated accounting in school, so looking at tax returns can be eye-bleeding, but there are certain write-off add-ons and line items that you can add back. Like a lot of people work from home,
Yeah.
so if they wrote off expenses that were in the house, they can actually add them back to their income. So that's a good little trick I learned.
Yeah.
Like this one guy, I think I keep using the lawn care because that's what he did, but he wrote off like 40K of like expenses from like something he did in his house for his business. I was allowed to put that 40K back on.
Yeah.
So there's certain things in the IRS tax code. Another IRS tax code thing unrelated to self-employed is discount points. Someone pays 15,000 discount points, they can write that off the following year and get that off their income for taxes.
Explain discounts.
Yeah, I think that.
Okay, so Jack and Jill find a house in Alpine, they want 700,000, they want a really good rate. I can give them the base rate is 7%, 0 points, they're paying 0 extra. If you want 6 1/8, you're gonna pay 2 points. So what's 2% of 700,000?
What do you know?
30,000.
30. 7%, 2%, 700,000, 2% is 14,000.
14,000, yeah,
You just failed.
calculated. Is that right? Hold on.
Seven
your
times.
boss.
What is 7 times 2?
No, hold on a second.
What is 7 times 2?
14.
Okay. It's, I've been up for 3 days, all right. So 14,000, let's just say it's 14,000 to pay extra at closing. It's kind of a little hit, right, to get a lower rate. So the IRS, that added them in the tax.
Okay, adding to that though, so now they can deduct the points. How long does it take to make up the money of that point?
Great question. So there's actually a formula, and I don't have it memorized, but basically, the concept is if you pay X amount of points, and let's say that gets you to save, $300 a month on a higher loan amount. If it takes, I think it's 30 months. I think it's 2 years. It's a little over 2 years. So 20. If it takes, I think it's 2 or 3 years. Let's just use it in the middle. If it takes 30 months to get to save that 14,000 in payments, well, like,
Monthly payments.
then it's worth it. Like if you're at that line, I can't remember the exact, should know it, but a lot of people,
Depends on the loan.
right, I'm doing a lot of
How much
bi-weeklies
you
now.
say?
I'm doing a lot of bi-weeklies now, so I'm giving them the worst rate. I'm giving people the worst rate. Now, you wanna know why I'm doing that?
Why are you doing that?
I'm giving people when they're bi-weeklies, if they can swing it, I'm giving them the worst rate because now they're getting discount points back. Pull up Paul's thing. It's on the page 4 on the bottom left. Yeah, page 4. All right, go to page 5 back. Actually, hold on, sorry, don't mean to swing you here. Go back to 4. Go to, no, just keep it right there. 7 3/8, 7.375. It's not a good rate. But this is the logic. This is a bi-weekly estimate. So now go to page 5 real quick. Al's great at this. He's going to be my PowerPoint.
PowerPoint guy.
I'm with Anna.
So line G,
You gotta be old.
discount points. See line G in the bottom left. So 90, lower right there. Scroll your finger. So 90. See anything in parentheses, if we all remember from school, is negative. So he's saving almost 10 grand. That's 10 grand less he has to bring to closing. Yeah, he's got a shitty rate. Excuse my
Is
language.
this Paul's?
This is Paul, hypothetical Paul. Okay. I give him the worst rate because now the best thing that can happen is because he can do the modification. Let's say next year rates drop to 6.5 anyway. He now pays $250, gets 6.5.
Right.
He got a 6.5% rate for. Not only did he get it for free, he got paid $10,000 to get it.
He didn't see it that way though.
He
thought he was.
To get that
Hey,
6.5% today, he'd have to pay $9,000, or let's just say it was even $7,200, whatever the math is. That's a $17,000 swing because you're going from negative 9,400 to positive 7,200. That's a lot of money in the middle. So now if rates plummet or even drop a little, he's only paying $250. So the logic is you're saving 10 grand and can still get that lower rate later. So that's why on a lot of my bi-weeklies, if they can swing it, and they don't really want to bring a lot to closing, I give them that option.
So he said, but he's giving me a lousy rate. That's what he said.
Right. Now there is a middle ground in the pendulum. If I gave him a 6.5% rate, which is way more palatable, that discount point wouldn't be negative 94. It might be positive 22 or positive 25 or whatever the points were at the moment. So that's a $12,000 swing. Pay $12,000 more and get a 6.5, or save $12,000 and get a 7 3/8.
Do we get the most of the points?
That's it. Yeah, I mean,
I just want to say,
Yeah,
I
any
just want to
questions?
say, if we could just sum it up real quick so that you guys have an understanding of how to take your leads when you're first speaking with them and qualify them immediately. When you know it's gonna be a good lead or it's gonna be a tire kicker or look to you ask them these very hard questions right away up front. If they don't answer you, then you know you've got probably a look-see, a tire kicker, casual browser, not serious, go next.
yeah,
Okay?
take them with a grain of salt.
It's gonna be painful at the beginning when the ones that are first starting out, because a lead it's empowering. When you get a lead that, you feel you're having a rapport with, it's a wonderful feeling. You feel like very valuable. You feel like, wow, I'm really contributing to this conversation. I'm really here to help this person. They're letting me. You feel good, right? And then they screw you by like not giving you the hard answers that you're looking for. And then it's like, oh, a letdown. After enough letdowns, believe me, you'll develop thicker skin and you'll know how to identify the BS ones and the ones that are legit. And it's really, and I keep saying this, you'll hear me say it to nauseam, I will beat the dead horse. It's a numbers game. The more people you call, the more times you get rejected, the more times you're going to find that you get closer to the prize.
Yeah, I always,
Closer to the prize, and it's not gonna be that far away. You just have to make that initiative of, take the initiative of making all those calls and getting in front of people and having those conversations about real estate each and every single day, and handing out your cards, and just be thinking, always on your feet about real estate. You'll find that those numbers will have accrued, and
it's a
that,
contact sport. Okay, the
Yeah.
more people you contact, the more money you make.
that's it. So
Contact sport.
don't think it's
Talk to
gonna fall
everybody.
from the sky like manna. You gotta take your kicks, and you gotta take the punches, you gotta take the letdowns, unfortunately, but you gotta have the thicker skin, and that will come in time. So don't take anything personally in real estate. Try, it's really hard, because people can hurt your feelings very quickly, very easily. They can knock you off your balance real easy, and it's just a matter of just being resilient and knowing that in time you will get that strength that you need internally to just push away the crap and bring in the good. Okay, so it's not a pep talk, it's just from experience. Learn how to identify the good qualified leads from the bad ones by asking these hard questions. If they don't answer, go next.
Can I get everybody with Pat against the,
Oh, we do a picture?
and then we'll do a picture for everybody.
Listen, come on. Everybody, can you like me?
First I'm coming. Let's give everybody watch it. See you step back a little. Just want to get everybody in there.
Oh,
We want to thank Pat, the Ambrosio.
It's a picture?
No, well, there's a video, and then we'll take. I just want to thank you very much
Thank you.
for giving us an education today on loans and all that. Pat, thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
And
Thanks for having me.
M&T Bank for sponsoring our dinner tonight, and we would like to thank you. And what do we say? Living great, ready, 1, 2, 3.
we're living. Anybody have any questions for Pat? 'Cause
Yeah, I mean, there's.
he's here, he
no
came a
excuse for
long
question.
way. You need to ask him any question.
We're all, listen, we're all.
No question is stupid. Get it out and ask.
I'm gonna stop the recording.
Andrea is in the military. She gets a